Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel where we just talk about preparedness. We talk about different crazy things that are happening in the world. And really, we just talk about what me and my family do. And hopefully that helps you with you and yours and giving you ideas. So let's jump into it today. I want to talk about a certain prep. But I want to start off on, I thought about this and was thinking about this more after seeing a full spectrum video, full spectrum survival. I know he gets a lot of flack. A lot of you guys are like, he's crazy. It's clickbait, yada, yada, yada. I would agree with you on some of those points. However, some of these channels do have good information and do talk about things that do still invoke thought and thinking about things and preparedness. So, he was talking about protecting your family, the importance of patrolling and having watches, setting those, what that looks like. Talking about a little bit about uppers and how you would stay up, and just basically after an SHTF event, basically a lot of people would be staying up, and then of course after a couple days would be crashing, and obviously it's dangerous times. You need to be awake, you need to be watching. And so that resonated with me, because for me and my family, a really big part of our preparedness plans is fortification, security of those preps, right? You have your essentials, the things you must have to live, right? Food, water, meds. You have to have shelter, you have to have water, you have to have food. But then you have to have an ability to protect yourself, protect your family. And part of that is patrols, is walking your property, walking around, seeing what's going on. He was actually talking about neighborhood, it's possibly time for neighborhood watches type thing, neighborhood patrols. If you're blessed to live in an area that already kind of has that, that's cool, because you've kind of already started the dynamic of talking to neighbors, having some sort of schedule, whatever, even if it's something minor, right? It's just to have a presence in the neighborhood to keep, thieves out at night, criminals out at night. That's something, because just having that communication knocked out and that somewhat of a schedule knocked out is huge. And it's important because I was in the military and watches are a real thing. Having the ability to stay up. And he talked a little bit about the military, he talked a little bit about uppers. He talked about some crazy stuff about methamphetamines. They give us drugs to like stay awake. I'd never in my life heard that or have seen that, or that just was bonkers to me. But uppers is a real thing in the sense of coffee, caffeine pills, energy drinks, that type of thing. Now, can you stockpile that stuff? Sure, but why would you want to? That stuff's dangerous. It has all types of chemicals, preservatives. Energy drinks are extremely, extremely dangerous for you. I would not be stockpiling those. Can you stockpile? Okay, I drink coffee. I'll stockpile coffee, and I'll stockpile uppers like caffeine pills. And I'll admit, I have actually in my career used those caffeine pills. Do they work? Sure. But you kind of crash after them. They don't make you feel that good. It's a high dose, just, all of a sudden hit your body. Just not my favorite, right? And so the basics, I just want to talk through a little bit. One, this right here, baby, could save your life, right? It is important that you stockpile stuff that has some sort of caffeine to help aid you when it is time for you to stand watch. One thing that's going to be difficult is a lot of people are like, yeah, I can stay up and watch something for 6, 8, 10, whatever hours. But what they don't think about is somebody has to cover that mid shift. Somebody has to cover that night shift. And if everybody in the house is used to going to sleep at a certain time, and that is your schedule, there's going to be people that all of a sudden are having to get on a different schedule. Two, you're not, the less people you have, now the less family you have, the less time you have together, because you're now all trying, if me and my husband were going to be by ourselves, a 12 shift, I mean, you don't see each other. Somebody's always on alert. Somebody's always on patrol. And it just is horrific on your body to just be standing and be awake and watch something for 12 hours. Now, we do that in the military, right? We do 12-hour watches. We do 24-hour watches, or on call, right? Kind of like doctors and stuff, nurses, where you're on call, let's say on a watch period for, let's say, a week, right? But that's not an actual watch where you're standing at a post watching something, or you're walking back and forth in a certain area and patrolling it, right? That's different, right? And we do have 12-hour watches, but we imagine if you have that your whole career, just 12 on, 12 off, 12 on, 12 off, just nonstop back to back. That's daunting, right? And that would take down anybody. And so one thing I want you to take away from this is the importance of having a tribe, of having a group, even if that is not a tribe at your home, but it's a tribe in the sense of your neighborhood. That is important. It is important for you guys to watch each other's back. It's important for these watches to happen, because the more people, the less time frame is spent on one individual person doing a watch. Okay. I mean, you go from 2 people, a 12-hour watch, you even add one more person, that's already down to an 8-hour watch. And if you're sleeping, you're actually awake. Somebody is awake. 2 of the 3 people are actually awake during that time. Somebody's physically patrolling, somebody's awake, which is still somebody paying attention to the surroundings, and then somebody is down, right? And that person that's just paying attention to the surroundings, you're not on a watch, but you know, you're eating, you're making sure this is when you're eating, this is when you're maybe doing your chores, you're doing stuff, but you're around and awake, that you can see as well and help as well, or assist if there's a problem with a person that's actually on patrol, something happens, whatever, right? And then of course you add to that, and that number of a patrol window goes down even farther. Okay. Very important to talk about patrols, to think about what that looks like for you, where you live, if it's a neighborhood, especially if you are in an apartment or you're in an urban setting and it's like a suburban area, you know, even if you're rural, neighbors matter, right? Property lines, who can see who can watch, talking to each other, being able to determine, hey, I'm going to watch your back, you watch mine, but how patrols will work. Now, I don't know if it's the time to have these conversations about patrols and all of that, but it is the time to have conversations with those neighbors, and to start kind of setting the vibe as far as, hey, have you been seeing anything? Even if you just start basic conversation about you guys watching each other's back, watching each other's property, seeing and looking at cars, seeing things that are out of place, and just getting a vibe from them if that's their jam, and they're already doing that possibly. Especially rural. A lot of rural people, they do that anyway on their own. And so when you come together, it's not that hard, because you guys are already kind of on the same wave path as far as like your property and keeping it safe and protecting it and protecting your family, because you're already outskirts of town, out alone, right? Have to defend yourself type of thing. Maybe aid from police, there's not going to be fast enough, whatever the case may be, right? There's a mentality already that's a little bit different than city people. The other thing is stockpiling, your basic stockpile stuff. Think about it, right? You don't even have to be a coffee drinker. Maybe you're a tea drinker, but there's teas that have caffeine in them. There's coffee, obviously caffeine in it. So be thinking about what are the things that you can stockpile. You know, I didn't start drinking coffee until I was in the military, right? And started having, you know, long classes and watches and learning about patrols and different things and learning how to do that. I mean, in boot camp, you're getting a piece of a patrol, right? There's a watch, there's somebody that's up at night where you patrol at night, everybody's asleep, and you're learning how to protect and watch and see what's going on. And so you're already kind of learning that from jump. It's not hard to learn, but if you've never done it and then you're thrown into this thing, you know, he mentioned, hey, when SHTF happens, a lot of people are just going to stay up because out of fear of what's going on, they're going to be like, this is crazy. People are just going to be, you know, the average family is going to stay awake because they're trying to protect their family, right? I think that there's twofold to that. I think that, yes, you're going to have a lot of people that are aware that something's going on. They're going to just stay awake because they want to understand what's going on. But I think you have a lot of people that are still going to be go to sleep, not be concerned, either because they don't understand how serious the situation is, or maybe they do, but they want to just close their eyes and they just want to sleep it off and hope that it's a nightmare and it goes away tomorrow, right? They don't want to deal with it. And then you have people, let me tell you about an experience we had many years ago. We had there was somebody that the helicopters, police helicopters, were all over our neighborhood. The helicopters, there was like 2 or 3 helicopters hovering over our neighborhood for hours and hours and hours trying to find a suspect. And we had defensive tools. And do you know how scared we still were that this person was just going to try to kick in the door or get in, because he was breaking into different people's homes and different garages, sheds, you know. And so it comes down to how fortified are you in general? What locks do you have? What locks do you have to keep people out? How strong are your doors? How strong are your windows? You know, did I think he was going to come crashing through a window? No, but this guy was desperate, and they were hovering right over our neighborhood. So obviously the person was in our neighborhood. And who knows what a desperate person will do if they're trying to get away from the police, right? And so, and you could hear on the scanners, on the reports, that he was breaking into people's garages, different things. So, and we were scared, and we were prepared, and we had intel. We were listening to what was going on. But there was still a fear of like, man, is this guy, am I going to have to, am I going to have to hurt somebody? Is somebody going to try to break in our door? And you have your family there. So, imagine something major has happened and everybody's on edge like that, and everybody's thinking about that. And maybe it's not that one individual that you're like, whoa, I'm expecting somebody to kick in the door in a day. No, it's not like that. It's going to be a slow crawl. There's going to be room for complacency. There's going to be room for you to find some kind of normalcy in the crazy and be like, okay, things are okay, right? And then that's when bad things happen. That's when your guard is down and somebody gets through, and somebody breaks into something, whatever. Okay. And so, patrols are going to be important, knowing this stuff and having it in your emergency, planning, having the things you need to stay awake, to help aid you to stay awake. I'm not advocating, caffeine pills and uppers, and definitely not advocating energy drinks, but be thinking about the benefits of caffeine. I mean, it just is what it is. And having a little bit of that, even a little bit, like say you don't have this huge thing, but you can just get you a little espresso shot of a little bit of caffeine, right? It matters. We talk a lot about, stockpiling this type of stuff for just morale and just, something that you have every day, that you can continue to have every day, that gives you a little bit of pleasure. And having the ability to do that after something major happens, you still have the ability to do that little small pleasure. But it plays I'm telling you, it plays such an important part, having done patrols, doing different exercises, and different events at different times of the day. Just one time you're on a regular sleep schedule, the next time you're not, then you are, then you're not. I mean, just wonky, right? And so that's important. Military people are going to have that benefit. Anybody who has served is going to have that benefit of knowing about a watch, how to do it, what it really, really feels like to stay awake. But you have to know. That's why, like, hey, lone wolves, people that are by themselves are like, I'm going to do it alone. Okay, but you better have a really solid alert system and other things that are going to have your back for that short period of time where you're sleeping. I don't care if you're even a 3 or 4 hour sleep kind of person. It's still 3 or 4 hours that you're out of pocket, and that you have to have some sort of surveillance, alert system, something that's going to be able to wake you and alert you that somebody is there, somebody's in your property, somebody's in your home, whatever, okay? Otherwise, you just sleep. Another thing, too, is patrols. People watch. And so you have to learn how to do a patrol, how to really look for signs. I teach my son basics in the backyard. We wake up in the morning, hey, tell me the things that you see different. We walk the property. We see things that are different. That's how you notice animals, animal activity, things that have been moved, things that maybe were unlocked or kept out or whatever. But we have this thing where we kind of just walk through and say, okay, tell me the things that are different, or what did you notice, right? Simple things, a gate, just anything that's out of place that you're like, okay, that's not how it's supposed to be, or that's something that's extra to the landscape, or, oh, I see this, right? All of that stuff is super important for tracking and understanding if somebody has been there. Maybe you're patrolling and you don't see anybody right now, but you see signs that somebody was somewhere, right? One day you don't see cigarette butts, there was no cigarette butts, and all of a sudden you see some tree line and there's cigarette butts there, right? Somebody's watching, right? And so a lot of people will watch because they'll want to know how many people are somewhere, what's your schedules, and they may camp outside the lines and just watch to see, okay, they have somebody patrolling, this is how often they do it, or this is when that people take a break, or a patrol person that doesn't really patrol, they kind of just sit around and they have a spot that they kind of go to and just hang out at, right? That stuff matters, and paying attention. And what happens is normalcy stuff kicks in, complacency kicks in, and that's what ends up getting people killed, is complacency and not paying attention, okay? But the more people you have, the more training you can do as far as patrols, and staying up on that, and changes, and discussing what was found, what was discovered, what wasn't discovered, maybe changing up the game plan of where you guys are actually patrolling, checking different locations that maybe aren't on normal location check, whatever it is. Now, I know this sounds real, like a lot of people, this is foreign, and you're like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know nothing about patrols, nothing you're talking about. I wouldn't know how to do that. I don't know what you mean. You know, think about a neighborhood watch, but just wherever you live. And if you're in the country or rural, that's your property, that's your land. I don't even have to tell rural people that. But that's essentially what we're talking about, is somebody that is awake, that is watching and looking for stuff that's out of place, to prevent crime, prevent thieving, thieves, criminals, people trying to break in stuff, people trying to just do stuff. And it's not even that you're a police officer, but you are going to have to be in control of taking care of yourself. And so if you're not thinking about these things, you're going to be, you're not going to be ready for when all of a sudden, you know, you're like, this is crazy, right? It only takes one major event to happen where everybody's chaotic, and then you're like, okay, this is, you know, and it's okay for the first 24, 48 hours, maybe even if it's okay for a week, 2 weeks, right? Because an event happens, people come together, right? But as soon as it's like, this is not getting better, like it's almost a world-ending event, it's going to break loose, right? Nobody's going to trust anybody, and it's going to break loose, and it's not going to be good. So this right here, baby, could mean the difference. Get your coffee, get your stuff stockpiled, get your stuff stockpiled for your coffee, your creamers, whatever it is. You know, if you're going to get some uppers, some caffeine pills, then get that, right? But I'm not advocating for that. I'm an old-fashioned coffee person, but I know there's a lot of teas that have caffeine too, so that could be an option for you as well, okay? But know that this is a thing, and it's going to happen, and don't think that like, oh, certain people aren't going to do it. This could mean everybody, okay? You talk about 2 parents, 12-hour watches. Well, if you have a child that's old enough and you unfortunately have to put them into the mix of a watch, you know, that breaks it down to 8-hour watch, which is huge, right? That's huge. So listen, you know, the difference of 4 hours, that's a big deal when you're standing a watch. Okay. The shorter, like you start getting 4 people, a 6-hour watch. I do that with my eyes closed. Okay. Somebody sick, easily take on another watch, right? Easy peasy. However, if you're not thinking about this, you've never thought about it, you need to start thinking about it. You need to start thinking about your neighbors. I know we've preached on these channels a lot of times about don't talk to your neighbors, don't tell your neighbors nothing. I'm not telling you to tell your neighbors you're preppers and you stockpile and you got this and you got that, but you could talk to them about, hey, things are crazy. You know, I heard some stuff happened up the road or the town over. You know, crime's getting crazy. Just want to make sure, check in on you, make sure you're okay. Just let you know I'm here. I do watch stuff. You know, I watch towards the direction of your home. You know, is there anything that you want me to watch? Or here's my phone number. Do you want to let me know if you're not there? You need me to just watch your property while you're gone? Or, hey, you work from these hours, yada, yada, yada. Maybe you want to share that information as well. But just you offering like, hey, I'm watching, or hey, have you seen anything out of the blue? Sharing that stuff. You think you've felt that you can tell signs somebody's been on your property, that's something that you can talk to your neighbors about. Hey, have you seen anybody snooping around? I feel like I'm seeing signs of somebody hanging outside my window or hanging around my property, and I'm seeing these reports of people checking doors and windows. Have you seen anything like that? That gets that dialogue of a security type conversation happening that will help you break the ice with neighbors or whatever. And you're not telling them anything. You're not telling them that you're preparing for world ending event, you know, none of that stuff. You're just merely having a conversation about security and stuff you've noticed, and have they noticed it too. And, you know, hey, here's my phone number. If you ever want to text me, something's wrong, you need help, or you want me to watch something, you're not home or whatever, just let me know. I can, if I'm here, I can watch, right? So simple things like that matter. And before you know it, now neighbors are telling you, they're coming and telling you, hey, we're going to be out of town, or hey, we're leaving, or hey, we have an event that we're going to be gone all day, right? Could you just look over the property or watch our apartment or whatever, right? You know, hey, we're going to have our car, whatever, we're going to be on travel, but our car's in the parking lot, in the apartment parking lot. You know, when you leave or whatever, can you just get eyes on it and just, hey, everything looks kosher still, whatever. Okay. That stuff matters. So go out, make some relationships, get ready, keep doing the things, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.